Hi, my name is Valentina, and I'm going to explain to you why I decided to perform research on uveal melanoma in the Conway Institute at University College Dublin. It's a challenge. What I have told to my mom, who is 75 years old, and she really doesn't know anything about science. So I really try to explain what I do in a simple way. And so I have explained to her that my research is focused on a cancer that affects the eye. But unfortunately, in half of the patient with this cancer type, the cancer cells then go to the liver, make the disease to become metastatic. And once the disease is metastatic, there are no treatment options for these patients. So my commitment is to find new therapeutic options for these patients in order to help, let's say, in alleviating their suffering and to improve their quality of life. Its commitment to collaborative research, but also the strong connections that Conway Institute has with both academia and industry. And this is because I did my PhD and my postdoc in Italy at the University of Padova, where I was doing basic research on muscular dystrophies, and it was a really meaningful experience. But after that, I also decided to approach a more clinical scenario, and that's why during COVID-19 I worked as a biologist in a clinical laboratory. So I was dealing with, COVID-19 testing, I was interacting with patients, with clinicians. So with these two experiences, I really understood that I was looking for an environment in which I could have done both basic and translational research. And at that time, I also told myself, okay, I want to do this abroad because, I wanted to embrace a new social and cultural environment. So that's why I came across University College Dublin and the Conway Institute. In a way, it's like investigating a crime scene. And of course, as in any crime scene, you need a lot of partners sometimes. And that's why, thanks to the amazing collaborators that we have, a former research assistant had performed a proteomic study of these uveal melanoma cells treated with the compound. So this means that you can see how this specific compound can modulate the expression of proteins in the metastatic uveal melanoma cells. And from that list of proteins, I identified some specific proteins that are associated with a process called ferroptosis, which is a specific type of cell death. And so from there, we performed more biochemical assays, more validation, and we were able to prove that 1,4-dihydroxyquinine kills the metastatic uveal melanoma cells by inducing ferroptosis, by inducing this type of cell death. If you decide to become a researcher and to follow, especially the academic path, I would say, you need to be a scientist, but also a manager in a way. For example, in our job as academics, you need to do research, you need to do teaching, and you need to do administration. So you need to be open to embrace these three fields, I would say. And to be honest, in the beginning, when I started, I was scared because, the only expertise that I had were technical expertise. So I was doing the experiments on the bench. But I have to say that thanks to all my supervisors throughout the career, I became more familiar also with the other aspects. And the more I was embracing the aspects, the more I realized I was enjoying also dealing with those aspects. And actually, even the new job that I have is more related to, an administration role. So yeah, I think you need to be open to embrace both the science, but also the administration part, because they put in contact different laboratories, different groups with different expertise, but also they connect academia and industry. And again, we can't do research only in academia, I would say. So without those fundings, I don't think that the research will progress in the same way. I think it will be, it will delay what research can achieve in a practical application, I would say. This allows you to share resources, to save, to reduce cost, but also to access expertise that you don't have. And those expertise are fundamental to improve the quality of your research. For example, I have worked with cells in Conway Institute. Now, to progress further, we will need to test our compound in an in vivo system, and that's why the collaboration with Xenopath, for example, is fundamental, because even to progress to in the last phase, let's say, to progress to the clinical trial, first you need to evaluate the safety and the efficacy of your compound in a living organism, and after this you might proceed to the human clinical trial. So the collaborations are fundamental to, how can I say, complete the research process, and this is one aspect. Every time I planned my research projects, I tried to identify which were the research questions that aligns with a specific funding application. And so this means that I needed to be informed on the funding trends, on the priorities of specific funding bodies. And so when I write the research projects, I try to highlight the aspects of my research that reflects the priority of that research body. And again, of course, it's important to find the collaborators which will help you in progressing the research and will help you in filling the gaps that you can't fill alone because you don't have the tools, you don't have the resources. When you're doing a research project, it's important to prioritize the efficiency, but also the flexibility. And by this, I mean that, of course, you need to reach your goals, you need to achieve your milestones, but in a way, you also need to be able to adjust timelines and the methodologies that you use, especially if the resources that you have are limited, but without compromising the overall quality and outcome of your research.